Welcome to the Here We Go podcast, a place to share your experiences in football programs that players have loved regardless of record or on-the-field accolades. I'm Tom Letson with my co-host, Greg LaCava. Welcome, everyone, to the Here We Go high school football podcast. This is episode 7. I'm Coach Letson, and my co-host today is, as usual, is Coach Greg LaCava. Coach LaCava, how are we doing today?
Doing great, Coach Letz. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Again, every episode I get very excited about, who we have on. And before we get into today's guest, we just want to, again, thank our audience for watching. We have a lot of views on our podcast, and we have a lot of new followers, both on our Instagram page and our Facebook page. And this has been a lot of fun, and it's kind of taken off on us a little bit faster than we thought it would. So it's really good stuff, and we are really enjoying ourselves. So, and we have a real special guest, very close to myself and to Coach LaCava. And let me get to it. So our guest today is Coach Joe Murphy, a very close friend of ours who we initially met when Coach LaCava became the head coach of Allentown High School in Monmouth County, New Jersey. And Coach Murphy was a longtime coach in the community's successful Pop Warner program. In his second year at Allentown in 2000, Coach LaCava asked Coach Murphy to join the staff, I believe, as the special teams. I didn't check this out before we started the podcast. As the special teams coach, and also I think the defensive line coach, if I remember correctly. And maybe Coach Murphy, after he comes on, can correct me if I'm wrong about that. It was during this year that we began to develop a very close relationship with Coach Murphy that has lasted to this very day. We'd be very remiss if we did not mention the special relationship Coach Murphy makes with all his players. And Coach LaCava and I, we noticed this right from the beginning, and it really was striking to us. And anyone who witnesses the warmth his current and former players show for him immediately understands this special bond. Coach Murphy would do anything for his players, and his players would do anything for him. And bond is the perfect word to use, okay, in describing the special coach-player relationship Coach Murphy had with one of the top female place kickers in New Jersey history, Abby Letson, my daughter, and former Colts Neck place kicker, who attributes much of her notable success to Coach Murphy. Okay, so wow, I'm really excited for today. It's going to be so much fun. So, Coach Murphy, welcome to the Here We Go High School Football Podcast. It's our pleasure to have you today. And how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Coach Letson, and Coach LaCava. You look great. So, thanks for having me on. And let's get to it.
All right. So before we get to it, I am going to, we're going to go back a little bit. We're going to comment. I'm going to share my screen. Okay.
Listen, I have to have a little objection. I am freaking young, but my head looks huge in this picture you're going to show, and I'm not happy about it.
Here we go.
I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, but you don't have any white in your beard, though.
I know, but I'd rather have white in my beard and have a thin face.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So Coach LaCava, Coach Murphy, let's comment on this picture a little bit. This is
the best looking guy in that picture is Coach Rake.
Yeah.
Here's Coach Rake right here.
Yep.
God rest his soul.
Rake was a real man's man. I took to him immediately. Ex-Marine, tough as nails.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to my mind, I know I'm going to be babbling on all day, but we were playing Lawrence, and Lawrence, I don't know, said something or did something on the field, and Coach Red walked out to the middle of that field and called that guy out. I thought he was actually going to take the guy down, but we got done with the game, and I don't remember if we won or lost.
One correction on that. It was Hamilton West.
Oh.
It was.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure we get the right team. I don't want to talk badly about a different program, but it was Hamilton West.
Yeah, and thank God, Joe, that you were there to calm him down.
Yep, he was going wild.
Yeah, it was going to
Yeah.
get ugly. You
Well,
know?
one little tidbit about Coach Rake, he was our connection with Middletown South.
Mhm.
And then he agreed to come aboard, when I got the job and reached out to him, and he was happily there to coach freshmen, and God rest his soul, man. I loved
Yes.
Yeah,
Coach Rake. He was the
yeah,
Me
best.
too.
yeah. Coach, just a quick little story about Coach Rake. You guys will appreciate this at Allentown when he was coaching the freshmen. And and he was he was like a grandfather to them, and they really loved him. And there was a we had Halloween one year was during the week, and so two kids skipped practice on Halloween to go trick or treating, right? And so he was going to scold them, and I was with him. He goes, there they are. He says to me, he goes, watch this. He goes, hey, you two over here. and he looks, he gets real stern. He looks, he goes, he goes, where were you yesterday? And they were shaking. He goes, you were trick or treating, weren't you? And they're like, yes. And they're like, get running. And then the kids went, and they knew that the punishment for missing practice, they had to run a couple laps or something like that. But it was just so hilarious. He was a great guy. I have a lot of memories about Coach Rake. And
Yeah.
we have a lot of special memories about Allentown, without Coach Murphy, I don't know how special those memories would be. So but Allentown is a segment, okay, of what we're going to get into today. Let me stop sharing my screen. But Coach Murphy, has such an interesting football background. And I know that our audience is going to be very intrigued about hearing this about him growing up in Middle Village, Queens, and some of the unique, things about that in regards to playing Pop Warner. Like when we talked to Coach Murphy yesterday about this, and he shared with us that back then, you could play Pop Warner up to age 18. I couldn't believe that, and so we want Coach Murphy to go down memory lane. Okay, here, and we're going to start, Coach Murphy, with wherever you want. Okay, thinking back then when you were young and starting to play football. I know you mentioned that you began to play at 14, and your father didn't want you to play. And but if you could describe to us growing up, okay, in Middle Village, Queens, and about playing Pop Warner football and about all those wonderful guys that you were talking to us yesterday about. Okay, so start wherever you'd like.
All right. So Tom's right. Coach Letson's right about my dad had no interest in me playing football. He thought it was basically a waste of time, But when I got to 14, I guess he was tired of me complaining that I wanted to play, and he said, "Go ahead, go. I'll sign you up." Never went to any of my games from the time I was 14 until I was in my mid-20s. Never came to a game.
Wow.
So anyway, when I got there, it was they were called North Queens Crusaders. Their colors were beautiful blue and gold, and I was as green as the grass. I thought I was a tough guy from New York, but I found out real fast that there's a different kind of toughness on a football field.
Right.
So of course I didn't start, but I was more like a tackling dummy. When they wanted to put I wasn't the second squad. I think I was the third squad sometimes. But I learned, and I got tougher and tougher. And you'll see later a guy named Mark Gerard that I played on Long Red, which
Right.
is another team. He was on that team, and he actually became my best friend through all those years. But he beat the crap out of me. They put me at D tackle, and you know told me to do this, told me to do that. And Coach Pape, you'll see a picture later, I hope, of him. He was
Let's put them up right now. I'm going to share
okay.
the screen. Okay. Go ahead. You keep going,
So
Joe.
Coach Pape was an excellent coach, very stern.
Here he is right here.
I don't see him yet. Oh,
You
there
don't
he
see-
is. Okay.
Yeah.
So the young man in the middle there, kneeling down, that's Coach Pape. And at the time, and don't forget, you're going back into the 60s, he would smoke cigarettes on the field, but he would never curse.
Okay.
He would say all kinds of things. Jiminy Crickets, he would come out with all these sayings, but would not curse. And I just remember that so uh, detailed into my mind. And he knew my name very well because every time I did something or Murphy, take a lap. And we had to run these 4 backstops in Juniper Valley Park in Queens. And it was, it felt like 2 miles, but they said it was like 3/4 of a mile. And boy, I tell you, I got in shape. I was in great shape when I was younger. So, but then I started kicking the ball, practicing up by myself. At the time, you looked at books. You didn't look. It wasn't like YouTube like there is now.
Right.
So I became a kicker. Then they played me. I played D tackle somewhat. Then they put me at DN when I was the next year when I was 15, and then when I was 16, I stayed at the end. So we had a very good team the first year I was there. In fact, we went to the championship, what I forgot to tell you guys. And his son was the quarterback, and he went to a college in New York. They don't have football anymore. I think it was Iowa. I forgot
Iona,
the name. What's it?
Iona.
Iona. That's it. And he was the starting quarterback, and he was really good. He was some athlete, but we lost the championship to the Long Island Tomahawks, and I thought I thought my life was over. I couldn't believe that we lost.
What was the score of the game, Joe?
Uh we didn't lose by much. It was probably more than a touchdown, but we were in most of the game until I think about 4 minutes
Okay.
to go.
So this was when you were 16 years old, and this was Pop Warner. This was
Yes.
the community league. This is amazing. I
Yes.
would love to see 16-year-olds play Pop Warner. I really would. Like that. This must have been just something to see. And in talking to you yesterday, if we can back up a little bit,
Yeah.
when you and tell us about entering Newtown High School and how you had hopes of playing football there, but an unfortunate situation had occurred. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. What I left out yesterday was that I didn't pick Newtown. The city of New York changes the boundary lines, what school you go to. So there was a school called Grover Cleveland, which was a lot closer than Newtown, but Newtown also had football, and so did Grover Cleveland. The only good thing about Grover Cleveland that the field was attached to the building. Newtown, it was like 10 blocks away, and it was a public field.
Did you walk? You guys had to walk to practice?
Yep,
Oh,
walked to practice. Well, I never made it to practice because when
Right.
I got there in '66, the year before, the quarterback supposedly had a heart murmur they didn't know, and he passed out and passed on the field, and they abolished the program.
Mhm.
So, you couldn't switch schools. So okay,
Right.
I'm going to go to Grover Cleveland now. So I didn't play football, and that's when I started playing Pop Warner again.
Mhm.
I thought, my days were over in Pop Warner.
Yeah.
They weren't. But I had there were some good times. I mean, we had some good teams. It's nothing like that's in Jersey. Nothing. Pop Warner was nothing like New Jersey. We might have had one tackling dummy, that somebody brought in their car. There was no equipment room.
Right.
There wasn't a trainer. There wasn't a trainer
Right.
at every practice.
Right.
Guys were getting dressed. On the field. I got dressed on the field, and I only lived 2 blocks away. So I didn't wear my pads down there. I had my helmet. I walked down the block and I had to put my cleats on and stuff. So if it was raining out, you were already wet, during practice because they practice all the time.
Wow.
So yeah, it was much different than when I got
Right.
to New Jersey.
So, I mean, this is so interesting because if we were talking to anybody else right now, right, they would like, all right, I'm going to wrap up my playing days now, because I'm 16 in Pop Warner and it didn't work out in high school because of the reason that you said, the tragedy, and now we're going to move on. But you have an extended playing experience that is just
Yes.
so interesting. So, there was a little gap there where you stopped playing. Okay. And then you started playing again. Can you describe to us when you did stop and for what the reason was? And then
Oh, that's easy.
when you picked back up, I think when you were 20.
All right. So what happened then is when I played Pop Warner until I was 16.
Yeah.
And then I got that famous thing that all kids love.
Driver's license.
Driver's license.
Yep.
And I was infatuated with a 1957 Chevy, which, by the way, I still have one. And my wife has one. So I started racing the car. And that was absolutely the greatest thing. I've gone to the drag strip. Anyway.
Where was the drag? Wait, Joe, where was the drag strip?
Oh, well, there was a couple. Englishtown was open.
Mm-hmm.
But in New York, there was 2 drag strips. One was National Speedway out in Long Island.
Yep.
That ran 4 lanes. So things would move up. Most tracks only had 2 lanes and only 2 cars can race. And I was a ham and egger. I had a little 283.
That's what Rocky said. I was a ham and egger.
Yeah. And my girlfriend that I am now married to happily for 53 years or 54 years. She used to drive all the way out there with me, and if God forbid the car broke down, she'd be handing me tools and stuff.
My God.
Oh, I tell you, what a trooper she was.
You're like Harrison Ford, American Graffiti.
Yeah, right. Yeah. My car wasn't that fast though. So then, and I was still, believe it or not, I still belonged to a gym. I was still lifting.
Yep.
But I was like, I was in high school and I was living the dream, So I raced a car for a couple of years, and then in 1972, they started this league up called an Unlimited League. Well, no, when I got married in 73, we moved to New Jersey from Middle Village, Queens, and all our parents were in Middle Village. All my brothers were in Middle Village. We moved 60 miles away to Lake Apacon, where my father owned a house. We rented a beautiful apartment.
Wow.
And we started living our lives, just me and her. And there was, I read in the newspaper that the Boonton Bears were looking for football players, semi-pro team. So I said, hey, I'm in good shape. I can do it, Yeah, so when I got there,
Joe, before you go on, give us the dimensions back then. So you figured you're going to try out for the Boonton Bears. What were give us the height,
right,
give us the weight.
I'll back it up one more. Before I got married, I was 198 pounds. That's what I weighed.
That was your fighting weight.
Yep, that's right. Well, I won the Golden Gloves too for a short period of time, but that was in 73 after I got married. Anyway, okay. So I was 198 pounds, and I put a couple pounds on. Maybe I was 205 by the time. I don't know. And I got there, and everybody's stretching and no equipment. Everybody's and I'm watching these guys work out. I'm saying, holy, these guys they're athletes, man. So they're asking me my name and weight and what do you play and where'd you play, and told them I said I can play D end. And well, he says, okay, well, you can go over with the D end. Well, I was the shortest guy there and I was the slowest guy. So I said, okay, that's not going to be good, So I went to, I think his name was Coach Buzzy. And I don't know. I think that was his name, but he just was. He was more friendly than all the other coaches. And I went to him and I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it a D end. Well, what about something else? Like, well, we always need offensive linemen. I said, okay, I can play that. So we put the pads on about 2 weeks later, and we started hitting and stuff, and it was they were at a different level than I was.
The Boot Bears.
Yeah, the boot. Oh yeah.
Okay.
And if you were like third string and they won a game, you didn't get any money. It was only the guys that started made money.
Mhm.
So they started the league in New York, this unlimited league. It was called the Highland Park Conference in 1972.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen again, and I don't know if is this you playing on the unlimited team?
Yeah, okay. Yes, that's the first year.
Okay.
1973 was the first year that I played on Long Red. And just in case I know Tommy and I couldn't remember yesterday, but Wesley West, no. It was a rock and roll band. And they made a song and it was called Long Red. So that's how they named the team.
Oh, really? You can't remember?
Yeah.
You can't the band? All right, maybe we'll remember.
They sing Mississippi Queen. He's a big heavyset guy.
Oh,
Wesley. His name is Wesley, I think. Or
yeah. Oh, my friend Ron.
Leslie West. Leslie West. Is
yeah.
that him?
It'll.
Anyway, I started playing on this team, and I only knew like 2 or 3 guys. So the guy that you see, number 75, he was the captain. He was one of the greatest young men that I didn't know he was great until I started playing with him. But
wait a minute, Joe. 75? I thought that was you.
No, that's not me.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm behind missing the guy in the block back there. So Bill Leeson, he's down below. Can they see the bottom picture?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Bill Leeson. And he got at this young age, he found out he had diabetes. But he kept playing.
Okay.
So yeah, I clicked right in. They needed a center, and I stepped right into the position. And I never left it. I just I didn't punt the ball anymore like I did in Pop Warner or kickoff. They really had some nice athletes on this team. So,
and you played on that team from when?
1973 to 1975.
And so you stopped playing in 75. How old were you?
I was, let me see, 22. I was 25 years old.
So this, the funny thing is here is that, there's so many guys, I'm not including myself in that. I don't know if Coach LaCava would, maybe, that would love to play until they're 25. I mean, there's so many maniacs out there that would love to keep playing. Like that must have been like great, right? For you, like wonderful.
Well, don't forget, I took a couple of years off. So it's not like when you play in high school, you play till you're 18 sometimes. And then some guys like Coach LaCava played in college. And that's a lot rougher than what I played. But this was the level that, I was faster, believe it or not. Don't laugh, Craig. But this was our first championship against this team. It was called the Rams. I forgot the name of the town they were from.
Joe, we want to give you the opportunity because I know it means a lot to you when you're talking about this. You mentioned some of the guys.
Okay, so Anthony, number 16, played AAA ball for the country of Italy, and he always missed the first 2 games. Michael Skehan was an electrician. He is no longer with us. God rest his soul. I can't tell you how many concussions this guy had. Bill is gone. The guy number 22 was a great running back. His name was Stevie Suarez. Behind Bill, number 75, is his brother, John Leeson, that was a mountain of a man, played tackle. And he was another good offensive lineman. And then TR you can't see because the Bill's probably covering him. But he was 6'3", about 265. He was a mountain of man. So that was basically the offensive line and the offense. And we had two really good wide receivers and a slot guy.
Wow.
We passed the ball a lot. We did. Because Anthony was a catcher for the Italy team. So he had some arm.
Wow. Before we move out of this segment, Joe, I mean,
Yeah.
something that you said to me yesterday, to me and Greg, I just found so fascinating. Could you tell us, where you played your games, and there was no stands, and
Right.
what it was like, and also, I think, this might freak out a couple of people who are listening, but I asked you the worst injury that you saw. And I'd love you to share that with the audience. So could you just tell us, what field did you play on, and what was it like playing with no bleachers and people just standing around on the sidelines? Tell us about that.
Okay, so if you look at the top picture, you'll see, don't look at the guys playing, look at the guys standing behind them. That's the other team. And you see those two guys there, they're just spectators. But we had a full panoramic look of it, at these games, there could be 150, 200 people on the sidelines.
Right.
So there was no ropes that, you could be right up on almost the field. The fans could walk on the field if they wanted to, and of course the refs would be yelling, but it was no grass. The middle of the field you can see the mud on the sidelines here by Bill on the bottom picture. And if you notice, look at number 32, Mike Skihan. This was a championship game played in December. It was freezing. When we got to the field was actually like concrete. So if you didn't have sneakers, you had to wear your cleats. And Skihan, number 32, has Pumas on.
I see it.
He
That's
changed
awesome.
it. Suarez didn't have sneakers, so he stayed in his cleats.
Oh, goodness.
So, but by mid-game, everybody was back in cleats again because you see how the sun came out and it was muddy. So, Bill, this wasn't in the championship game, the injury.
Yeah.
As you can see, Bill, one of our biggest plays, we pulled the two guards, and I blocked down on the backside tackle, and we ran power sweep a lot because Suarez was just unbelievable fast. And Bill pulled out, and we really cupped the corner really good. We really blocked them really well. So Bill he was free coming around the corner, and the D-back was backing up. And as the D-back backed up, don't forget back then you could leave your feet to cut the kid no matter where you were on the field.
Yeah.
And Bill left his feet, and as the kid planted to move backwards, he caught his leg straight. And the only thing I didn't see it happen, but you heard crack and a scream let out. I thought the kid got knifed or something. And when I got over to the kid, everybody was around him. The bone was sticking out of by his calf from his leg bone. But what do they call it? A compound fracture
From out the back of his calf.
Yeah, it was coming out not the back, the side of his calf. It was the side of his leg. It was coming out.
So it was his thigh bone.
Yeah, you know how the uniform went down. Well, his socks were lower, and they came between the pants and his socks, and it was bleeding, and he was in some pain.
Oh my
God!
God.
That was the worst thing I saw. Physically with my eyes.
That is wild, man. That when you told us yesterday, I just couldn't believe that. I just couldn't believe it. So tell us, you played until you're 25. Tell us how it ended. How did it end? Why did
We
you stop?
lost. Well, we won 2 championships. We won the first one you just seen, and I don't have a picture of the second one. We played a team that their home field was the championship field that we played on.
Mhm.
And they were called the East New York Vikings. And they were sponsored by the community. And they were a powerhouse team. We beat them the first year with no problem, but they got more players. I mean, we had guys playing that got banged up in college that were, they're probably Division III guys, but they were fast, they were big, whatever we got. So, and Anthony, the quarterback, was an amazing athlete. So we played them, lost twice, and then we made it to the finals. And they thought that, hey, it's over. In fact, later on, Carl Carlosuna, the middle linebacker, he was walking in New York, saw some guy with East New York Vikings champs. And Carl went over to the guy and said, "You didn't win that game. Long Red won that game."
That's
How do
great.
you know? He says, "I played on it."
That is great. A
Oh, that was
fraud.
great.
He was a fraud.
We played them that day, and Paul, the coach, we had 2 coaches. Paul Miro was the coach, God rest his soul, great guy. Put up with a lot of crap from us.
Shocking.
And,
That's shocking.
yeah. And they had loudspeakers on their sideline with a van. And they said they're going to announce the kids' names. So, my coach is starting to get everybody who's starting, So Paul goes over to the sideline and says, "Here's our kids' names." Say, we ain't saying your names, we're just saying our team. Well, Paul came back. I never saw him so mad. So that influenced the game a lot.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
He never got mad. He very rarely got mad, and we were all pissed. Well, from the start of the game to the end of the game, we were in control. They never had it. They had a chance, but we had the game. So
and Joe, that was your last game you played?
No, we played one more year, all of us.
Oh, you did?
We won. What did we want to do? We wanted
Win
to get
again.
that trifecta. We wanted to get that hat trick, But
Right.
of course, but then we met a team that 80% of the team just came out of high school, and it was called Adams High School in Brooklyn, New York. And there were some of the kids that played Pop Warner with us was on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Vinny Barbera was one of them. And they were good. In fact, it was one of the few times that I had a nose guard on me because they played a 5-3. And he was 300 pounds. And the only way we lost the 0 hole, the 1 hole. I couldn't move him. I was 225 pounds, and we could pass the ball all day on him because I cut him.
Mm-hmm.
You could cut back then,
Mm-hmm.
or he would have killed me if I couldn't cut him.
So that was your last year that year?
Yes. That was disappointing. And we didn't lose by much, but we lost. So,
well, I find it crazy. And Tom had mentioned something about this before, why it's not happening now. I mean, didn't you guys worry about getting hurt in your jobs and not going to work and losing pay? You didn't care about any of that shit?
I worked.
Yeah, because you worked the whole time.
I worked for the city of New York then.
Yeah,
and I had to go to Lower Manhattan every day.
But if my point is,
if
you got injured and you couldn't work, like what happens then?
You go out sick.
What if the guy that had his bone sticking out of his leg, he's out of work for 6 months? What happens then? So my point is that that was always a factor, like me playing flag when I got older. They had flag leagues and stuff around here. And it's not tackle, but you could still get injured. I can't, because they were competitive games. We played over in Colts Neck at what park is that on 537? The big park on Colts Neck on 537.
I don't know what I'm not sure what the name of the.
Yeah, I played a couple, and I'm like, these guys are freaking nuts. They want to freaking kill people. And I'm like, I can't do this. Like, if I get injured, I'm out of work. I have a wife and a kid. I'm like, I can't do this stuff.
Well,
Well,
let's ask Coach Murphy. Coach
let's
Murphy, did you ever miss work because of a football injury?
absolutely. In fact, I belong to Jack LaLanne Spa because on Mondays after work, I sat in that freaking whirlpool because I was black and blue all over.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
no.
Let's just go back just a little bit. That the culture was different back then.
I know. That's what I was saying.
Back in the 60s and the 70s, if your kid was going to go over to the socket, you would let him go no, don't do that, Johnny. Don't do that, Johnny. All right, get do it.
Right.
And guess what? Johnny wouldn't do that again anymore.
I know. It's a different world, man.
It was different back then. I didn't care. I wanted to play.
And you didn't care. It didn't matter.
I didn't care.
Right.
I didn't
That's
care.
awesome. That's awesome.
So,
And Joe, what game, I think you specified a game that your mom came to see you.
Yeah, Pop Warner, yeah.
Okay.
And I broke my ankle.
And that was it. That was the end.
That was it for my mother, too. But my brother, Marty, excuse me. My brother, Marty, is my third brother. Long Red, he didn't miss a game. It could be raining out. Betsy never missed a game,
Wow.
no matter what the conditions were.
Let me ask you a question. You were athletic. Did your brothers play any organized sports too? Like, why didn't you guys ever play together? There wasn't that great of an age difference between all of you,
My
right?
brother Michael had no interest. That's my second brother.
Mm-hmm.
Had no interest with sports, especially contact sports.
Right.
Marty did,
Mm-hmm.
but again, Marty's not like a regular Murphy.
What's that?
Because he's
normal, is what you're gonna say.
Yes, he is.
He's normal. He's a straight out.
So honest. He's so honest. It's like it burns me sometimes.
But hold on. You're honest too, but
I am blunt honest.
That's the difference, right?
Yes.
Right.
Marty will roll the corner.
Mm-hmm.
But my brother Marty came to every game.
That's awesome.
I mean, I couldn't ask for a better brother.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So now, go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted to say, people listen to this. Joe, I probably never said this to you, and Greg, maybe you agree with this, but I have never met a person, and I've known a lot of football people in my life that love this game as much as Coach Murphy loves it. I have never met anyone like you that loves this game, and we all love it. We all love the game. But the way that you love it, you just love it on a different level.
It's in his soul. It is in his soul. Like, it's in his soul.
Yeah.
When I played, I'm going to tell you something that you guys, I probably never even told you before. When I played, I loved the game. All right. But when I got to coach at the lower level, okay, I found out what I thought I found out is that it wasn't the game. It was the kids that I wanted to give them what I had, which I thought I had a lot until I met you two. And then it's like, oh my God, those poor kids. I thought I knew what I was doing. And then when I got to high school and I got with you and Tommy, I learned so much that first 2 years that I would look at the kids and say, I'm going to teach that kid everything I know now, everything. Even if the kid's a 3 out of 10, I don't care.
Right.
You know what? If he makes 2 plays in his whole life, I'm happy as hell.
Right.
So
yeah. So
I do love the game, but I love being around.
That's awesome.
Kids more.
So Greg, were you gonna say something?
I was going to say. So you finished with the Long Reds.
Well, I just like to do a shout out if I can.
Absolutely.
Some of the guys,
please.
All right. I'll make it fast. Mark Gerard played tackle and every other place on the D and the offensive line. Carl Carlsuno, captain of the defense. We never liked each other until like 2 years after we stopped playing, and I see him all the time now. Stevie Suarez, great running back. Bill Leeson, captain, God rest his soul. Chop Joe Alessi was part of the Gangsters of Love. That's what we called the safeties and the D-backs. Billy Booth, Gangster of Love. Wesley, Gangster of Love. John Leeson, best tackle we had. and Anthony was the best quarterback in the league.
Right.
And Mike Skehan was an Irish guy that didn't know when to stop. He would come into the game with his head spinning. And I know I forgot people, but you guys were the greatest thing that happened to me.
That's
Besides
awesome.
my wife.
That's awesome.
Wow. Wow.
That's
What a
great,
trip.
man.
What a
And
trip.
you see, when he speaks, and this is what I love about Joe Murphy, man. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He doesn't apologize for it. He doesn't care. And that's why we love him so much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So now we go to this transition into the next part of the podcast. And this is so interesting, Joe, because here's this guy, from Middle Village, Queens, grows up there, starts playing football. It's different. You can play Pop Warner until you're 100, and then you get your car and you start racing that, and so you're doing all this. And then all of a sudden, you pick up and you move to Allentown, which is just such a direct opposite of where you were, and back then when you moved in the late 80s, I mean,
Nothing.
if people go out that way now, still they're like, wow, there's a lot of open country out here. But back then,
Right.
it was like total farmland,
Yeah.
So take us there where you initially moved to Allentown and how you became ultimately involved in the Pop Warner program there before you met us in '99 when Greg took the head job at Allentown, because Greg probably knew this when he did some research, as you mentioned, to before he took the head job at Allentown. But I didn't know back then that Allentown had a very successful Pop Warner program that you were a big part of in the 90s. So tell us about moving to Allentown and how you got into Pop Warner.
Well, Middle Village was just getting way too crowded. My driveway was getting blocked. I wanted to get my kids out of New York City.
Right.
So Patrick was just born, but we were already starting to have the house built in Mill Snow.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got here, John was born in 1979. So he was already 6, 7 years old. I wouldn't let John play football because he wasn't doing well in school. But after a while, like my dad, I let him. But I went to the practices, and there was a guy that ran the league and was the midget coach, and his name was Stevens. A nice guy. They didn't have a lot of coaches. So I walked over to him and I said, I introduced myself, gave him a little bit of background, and he said, well, I don't know, you have to go through the board and stuff. So I said, all right. So I started the process, and the season started, but then they let me. I passed everything.
Mm-hmm.
I got certified, and I was on the field with the boys.
And what year was this now?
What's that?
What year was that? Your first?
I guess around 90. 90, let's see. 91.
Gotcha.
Around there.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe John was 11 then, I guess. I'm not sure. 11, 12. Anyway, so I was an assistant to the assistant coach. And I told him I would take the O-line because that's what I really knew. And we didn't have many kids either.
Right.
The minimum was 16. We were picking kids up to bring them to the games because parents were working and stuff.
Right.
So John then left about 2 years later, and my son Patrick was coming up. And that's when everything changed.
Mm-hmm.
When Patrick's group came up, and a name that you're probably going to hear me say a lot today, besides what I just babbled about, long red, is a kid named Thomas Keeley. Thomas was with me from his 7th birthday through
high school.
And,
yep.
And then I met another legend that went to Allentown that is a great man now, and he was such a special person. And Matty Mortis.
That's our guy.
Absolutely. We were just talking about it.
Yeah, we're just talking about the rock of our program.
Yes, absolutely. I can still see him against Heightstown going like diving backwards with the ball like this for us to win the game.
Yeah.
I think that was at home too. You remember that or no?
I don't know if it
Dove
was.
in and he
I'm
put
not
his
sure.
hands out like this.
Yeah, I'm not. Listen, I
Okay.
want to just touch on Matt Mortis a little
Well,
bit.
when you have Maddie on. So
Yeah.
anyway, so Patrick started going in, and then we got this influx of kids because when I moved to the town, there was only 7,500 people in
Mhm.
Millstone. I don't know how many was in Allentown, but I bet there was less. So the high school drew from a lot of people, and one by one township I'm gonna like New Egypt left,
Mhm.
and we lost some good tough kids.
Yeah.
And Robbinsville left. Oh, Robbinsville left first. So, it started getting smaller, but Millstone started growing.
Right.
So the Pop Warner program we started getting quality kids. I mean, so the coaching got better. We started going to classes, 1-day classes, not like you showed me when we went to like AC and other places. So that's where I met Coach Mortis.
Mhm.
And there was a bunch of us that stayed together because our kids were there.
Right.
We went up with our kids most of the time, except me. I jumped over Pee Wee and went to midget and waited for Patrick to come up there. But the reasons that it got better because the coaching got better.
Okay.
And the kids some of them were just athletes.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think Greg, you said this to me a long time ago. To have any kind of winning program in high school, you need at least 7 athletes on the field, and if you can get 10 football plays, you got a good team.
Right.
Because some kids are not athletes; they're just good football players.
Right. And
you need them.
well,
you know.
one thing I used to always say, and most coaches know this, you have to have players to win. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good of a coach you are. You still have to have players that are good and they don't have to be great athletes because I've coached great football players that couldn't play another sport to save their lives.
Oh yeah.
But they were great football players.
Well, it's sometimes it's just really good to be good in one sport
True.
than 4 sports being okay.
That's true.
So,
So
now
now Patrick's in Pop Warner, you're coaching Pop Warner. You jump to the midgets, which is 8th grade. They're 8th grade
Yes.
before. Okay.
Yeah,
So
7 and 8.
pick up from that part.
Yeah,
From 8th
I'm going to
grade.
share my screen so maybe Joe can comment on this photo that we have, the clipping that we have. And maybe Joe, you can also comment on some of your best Pop Warner team and maybe give some shout outs.
This is my if I had one thing to bring with me on a desert island, this would be one of the articles.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Junior Pee Wee. This is when Maddie and Patrick and so many other people, Ventola was there. Anyway, we make it. I have the article. Wait, I can actually read. Yeah, I'd like to read something to Greg. Okay, so we were in the playoffs. I guess it was Edison, PAL, Junior Pee Wee, and they were a powerhouse all the time.
What year, Joe?
1996.
Wow.
So we were in the game, and it was a scoreless game. Most of the way, the offense just couldn't. I mean, we did okay, but neither side could get into the end zone. But what we did was, little by little, we started taking their side of the field. So we didn't have to punt. And then all of a sudden we were going for a 4th down because we were at the 30.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the ball. It was 4th down or 3rd down. And we backed them up until their 7-yard line. And Maddie they called a timeout. Maddie comes over to me and says, Coach, every time you go to blitz me, they come right at me. They send two guys. Somebody, something's got to be open. So I said, okay. I said to him, you fake that. I had all the kids in front of me now because I did the defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, all right, guys, this is what we're going to do. Maddie's going to fake the blitz. All right. He's going to pretend he's going in. The DN was Mike Arenado. I said, Mike, you crash. You go for that quarterback because he's going to throw the ball. Okay. And the right outside linebacker, I told him, you go. I tell the DN, you flare out to the flat. All right. So you cover the linebacker spot and you go, Blair. That was his name. Well, sure enough, Matty goes to fake. They come in at him. They leave Arenado alone. Arenado's coming in. Blair is closer to the quarterback, and the kid starts running. And where's he running? Well, he was already went back to, now he's at the 3-yard line. All of a sudden, he's in the end zone. Well, Blair grabs him, and Arenado comes up right under his chin. Boom, down. 2 points. We get 2 points.
And you win the game.
They had 2 minutes and 45 seconds to get down there. So there was time left in the game for them to come back. And they did start marching down the field. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember if I called a timeout or not, but they didn't make it in. And of course, my OC, as the guys say, to this day, he never hears the end of it.
Yeah.
So, he came from a big time program in South River.
Right.
And he's it took the defense to win the game. But this is one thing I got to hang it up. I framed it. And
I know Coach Mortis would give you the appropriate props for that 2-0 shutout, Coach Murphy. And this is the first time I heard you go through how you set that up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And you know
what? I wouldn't have set nothing up
if Matty
didn't come off, and I didn't believe in Matty when he was 7. That's what I'm saying.
Joe, that's what I was going to like. What 7-year-old?
Yeah.
Okay. Comes off the field like that and tells you what's going on.
Well, that was just a preview of what type of high school football player he became.
Yes, absolutely. And I can't say enough about Matty. I mean, to me, if we had 12 kids like Matty, we would have went to Florida and won the Nationals.
Well, we want to get into Matty, but I want you to tell the audience, who your special team lost to in the regions, because I think it's important. You had a great team, but you came up against Tom's River and they had a certain individual playing for running back. Joe, could you describe that to us?
Yeah, wait, I'm looking for the, I don't know if there's a picture. I think I got a picture of Scotty, I think. So you're going to have to show the screen. So
you just hold it up, Joe.
Oh, you can see it?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah, raise it up more. Raise it up.
Okay, so this is not the actual game, but you're looking at the quarterback right there.
Another awesome player, man, for us.
There's another guy that at 7 years old was just as good as Matty, and what a great kid he is.
Yeah.
His name is Scott.
Scott Aneker.
Yeah, Scott Aneker.
I have a story about Scott Aneker. I got to tell it.
So, all right. So you want to tell it? So I can...
So I remember being at Allentown and here because he wasn't there our freshman year. No. I guess he came He came as a sophomore. I don't even remember if he came as a sophomore, but I remember hearing the name Scott Aneker. He's a great basketball player.
Yes, very.
I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's a basketball player. He's not going to help me over here. And I remember the first time he showed up. And the thing about Scott Aneker is he has this quiet confidence about him. And I remember like, oh, man, this kid's going to be a problem. He's going to be an arrogant kid. He's a basketball stud. Everybody's talking about him. They're 14 years old, 15. They're all talking about him, how great he is. And then I realized he was. He was unshakable. I loved him as my quarterback there. I love Scott Adeker, man. He was awesome. Unshakable.
He was
Unshakable.
good.
He was a good freaking player.
We put up some passing yards with him.
We did with him. He was really good. He
Yeah.
was really good.
He was some athlete.
Yep.
So-
he could play any sport if he wanted to.
Yep.
So we go back before we get to Allentown. We go back to that. Who in the regions who we were referencing. Joe, tell us about that game.
So, Scotty was the quarterback, and this we won our first playoff game or our second playoff game, and now we're into the regional finals.
Mhm.
Whoever wins this game goes to Pottstown, and if you get through Pottstown, you used to go to Florida, Disney World, to play the game.
They still do that.
Oh, okay. So, we played on a Wednesday night. We both had to play on the same crummy field, so you can't complain about that. And we played the Toms River Angels. Excellent team. And it seesawed back and forth. And we had a chance to win the game, and they said, and I remember this like it was yesterday, I could see Scotty. And we were at our own 5 or 7, and we were ready to go in, and we would have took the lead. And they said Scotty fumbled the ball. And when that happened to us, Scotty come running over to me and said, "Coach, I didn't fumble." I said, "I know you didn't. Take it easy. Take it easy. Let's see what let the refs, And they decided that he did fumble the ball. Again, it's not like the NFL we go to the film,
Right.
Yeah.
So we lost the game, and I was so sad that it took me days and days after that because I thought we were going to the first Allentown team to go to out of state,
Yeah.
So we took all lick and
this was the eventual winner, right? They went on to win.
yes, they won the whole thing.
And
they did.
They had a future pro on that team.
I think they had 2.
Okay.
And they had a couple of D1s that played football, and I know they had some D2s.
And so their star, we'll tell the audience, the star was Todd Frazier.
Oh yeah, he was good, man.
He was a
good.
future pro baseball player.
Yep.
And that's who you lost to. So no shame in that.
No. Just the way it happened,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not like you saw the ball go, spit up in the air.
Mhm.
It was dark out. The lighting on the field wasn't great, but again, they had to play in that too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's a lot of in Pop Warner. There's a lot of politics. A lot.
Yeah.
So
Well, those Toms River Pop Warner teams were like semi-famous in New Jersey at that point.
Well, so is the Shore Conference is famous.
Yeah.
They have great teams. They do.
Yeah.
They have. I think they have babies just to play football.
Yeah. It's true.
So, all right, Joe. So, as you're getting to the late '90s, before Greg takes the head job in 1999, you had already transitioned to high school. Okay, so tell us about the decision to play for to coach for high school. How you approached and why'd you make that decision before we got there?
Okay. Can I just show you one thing to the screen?
Sure.
This was something that not every midget coach gets to do. This is an article. I took the midget team after we got knocked out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And all the parents on the team, again, we thought we were going. We had a great team. Vic DeVeltri is another Allentown player.
Yep.
He was the quarterback. Okay. And that's the year that you didn't have a freshman team.
Mm-hmm.
So Thomas Keeley was here.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Amatrudos there.
Mm-hmm.
That they did eventually go to, somewhere else.
Don't say it.
I'm not. So we took a bus ride.
That's
we
amazing.
chartered a bus.
Amazing.
And we had a caravan of parents behind the bus. And me, my wife, Mortis didn't do anything on the bus except read the damn paper.
Yeah.
And a couple other parents. And we had so much room on the bus that the mothers and the fathers from the cheerleaders said, can the girls go? And I'm saying, oh my God, the girls on the bus with the kids. And I finally, I said yes. Yeah,
Where
look,
were
the
you,
girls
Joe?
were with
Where
us
were you
all year.
going? I think I
They went
missed
to
it.
Jacksonville.
We went to Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
So-
to do what? To watch the game?
No, to play football. We
Okay.
played a team from
Oh.
Jacksonville.
That's
Okay.
incredible.
How did that get arranged?
Riser did it. The president of our league.
President of the
Did it.
league. Okay.
And I think we had Ryan Riser on the team that played for Allentown. That was a great linebacker.
Yes.
You
Right.
remember him.
Of course.
So we get down there. I'll never forget Pat Swall's mother. Well, Pat was older. We had his brother, and he was an offensive line, but he was good. It's the day of the game, and we're practicing in parks. Like they had no practice field. So we're practicing in parks. Half my coaching staff went to go play golf, and me and Veltri's father were, I think, the only two there.
Mhm.
And I got like 30 kids. So anyway, we go to the field, we're ready to play the game, and there's a party the night before. The guy comes over to me and says, "Oh, you Redbird head coach?" I said, "Yeah, how you doing?" Shakes my hand. He goes, "What's the biggest kid you got on the team?" I said, "He's 145. His name is Brandon Watkins." And he goes, "Oh, well, there's my fullback. He's 165 pounds. We're gonna make sure we take it easy on you."
Oh,
Grit
no.
my teeth. I said, "Okay, yeah, no problem. I appreciate that, Walk out, and I'm blowing steam at him. So I don't say nothing to the kids right away. So the next day, the kids are with me, and I said, "Okay, this is what happened at the party." I tell them, and I said, "If we don't win this game, this will be the longest bus ride in the history of the United States. I will make you all miserable. You better go out there and kick their butts." Opening play. The ball comes back. Veltri gets the ball, tries to hand it off to Joey. Joey fumbles the ball. And the ball's bouncing around. Joey comes back up, scoops the ball up. Oh, no. Another kid that didn't go to Allentown, Chris. I can't think of his last name. Scoops the ball up, 30 yards for a first down. Well, we scored. Okay. So now I got the defense, and I'm looking at this kid, and I pinched the
Right.
tackles in because they like running up the middle, and all of a sudden, it's like the end of the first quarter. And I said, "You know what? I'm getting tired of this Mickey Mouse stuff." I give him the signal. That means both outside linebackers go. The safeties come back down to take their spots. Well, the kid goes to throw a pass. We level him. I mean, his arms, his legs over. For the rest of the game, he threw off his back foot. He couldn't wait to get rid of that ball. And these guys walked in with belly shorts on, with cubes, things, and the moms are going, "Joe, we're gonna be fine." About third quarter, one of my coaches go out, and he played college football, yell out and go, "Hey, how do you like that Jersey football now?" Oh my God. So all right, I'm sorry.
No, I just want to make a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Here's another example of why we freaking love you, man. Your passion when you
Who
talk
does
about
that?
this
Yeah, yeah.
stuff is unbelievable.
I
It's
relive it
unbelievable.
when I talk about it.
It's unbelievable.
relive
It's obvious that you
Yeah,
do. And
yeah.
it's so heartwarming, man, that I hope your players on those teams watch this episode.
Oh,
Because that is what they did for you. And I'm sure they're gonna have stories about
They
what
did
you
it
did for
me.
them.
They did it because they wanted to do it, and they wanted to win.
Right.
There's no kid out there that puts a uniform. I don't care what sport it is, that goes out and says, "Man, I don't care if I lose or not."
Right.
No one does that. No one puts that kind of work in,
Right.
and then just says, "Yeah, I don't care."
Yeah, I agree. So you won that game, obviously, and you had a great bus ride home.
Oh yeah. Well, we stopped anytime they wanted to stop. We stopped at this place that took buses. I mean, those kids must age 50 pounds of bacon from Jacksonville to Maryland.
That
I
is
mean,
awesome.
the parents were tired of stopping, but I promised them anything you guys want, we win. It was, but they like Fisher's daughter went.
Yeah.
He was a coach at Allentown.
Yeah.
He was coaching at Pop Warner,
Yep.
and he's the one that, of course, really got everything rolling.
Yeah.
He was the one that got the bus and
We
everything. So, yeah, a lot of the parents at that time were into it.
yeah.
And it didn't have to be football. It was the cheerleaders too that they did a great job. I mean, everybody did. So
That's awesome. All right, so that's 1997, six.
yeah, and listen,
So then you become part of the Allentown staff in 1998. Tell us
that was
about how that.
1999 when
No.
that happened.
Oh yeah, so that was our first year there.
That was your first.
That was when those freshmen couldn't.
That's why I stayed.
They played Pop Warner because we didn't have a freshman team.
Okay.
Right.
So let's reverse back a year, 1998. You come aboard.
How'd that happen?
How did that happen when you became a high school coach for the first time at
Well, I was
Allentown?
very proud the day that I said his name the other day.
Henderson.
Henderson, yeah. Oh my God.
Coach
I
Henderson.
was very proud that when I put the application in to be a volunteer coach, he accepted it. Maybe he was having a hard time getting coaches, but I loved it. I loved it. I loved the school. I always have. No matter where I coached, I always thought about Allentown. But it was, don't forget, I was at the lower level and I was the head coach, and me and Mortis swapped every year.
Right.
So I thought I was doing a real good job, and Coach Henderson did a very nice job. He was there only for 1 year, but it was just, I was so proud of myself that it's like I made the next level.
Right.
I was so happy. So, yeah, it was different. We were playing in the Shore Conference at our first game. We thought we were going to rock and roll. We came out of camp. We had this play. This kid could run. We lost to
Keyport.
I think it was 63-7 or something. And he lost his mind at halftime.
Yeah.
But, most of the season went like that.
Okay.
Right.
So, and then I went back to Pop Warner, and then I put my application in with you guys. And then after that was history.
All right, so let's discuss a little bit about how this whole evolution happened on how, Coach Murphy became part of the staff. He was in the program in 98. He just spoke about that. We get the job in 99. We have a team meeting. Okay. But let me reverse. Our mentality going into Allentown, I did a ton of research on Allentown and none of it was good. And I remember saying, we are going to clean house. We are cleaning everything and starting from scratch. No, I don't want to say old, but no former coaches. We want to get rid of all that mentality and bring our mentality into this program from South. And we want to just start fresh. So I remember our first team meeting. It was more of an introduction meeting with the kids, the players, and the parents. And we had the meeting. After the meeting is when I first met Coach Murphy and Coach Mortis. And I can remember this vividly. And we talked a little bit, and I'm sure Joe will have a story, to interject some of his memory of it.
Joe?
But
Really?
yeah, but I was completely just doing this. Yeah. And I knew I wasn't going to hire anyone that was part of the program before that. And that's his fault that he was part of the program in 98. That's not my fault. That's his fault. So Joe, take it from there on that first conversation, if you remember it any differently, which I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I waited. We waited till after the meeting. I waited till after the meeting to talk to you.
Yep.
And I just said, look, if you need a hand with anything or you need an extra coach, I'm a volunteer coach. wherever you want it, wherever you need me, I'll go.
Right.
You know, and you said, okay, we're putting everything together. You were nice, and it didn't happen. But I went on and I went back to Pop Warner.
Yeah.
In Florida. Had a very successful season. Oh, it was too bad we didn't have a freshman team at
Right.
Allentown, but you didn't have the numbers. You wouldn't have had a freshman team. The kids would have been playing JV.
Right.
And so most of those kids wouldn't have played.
Well,
so they got to play football.
The funny part about that, and we want to talk about that, is that's right. That is why we didn't have a freshman team. So those kids went back and played on your team in '99. And again, you always made it seem like it was such a negative. If it wasn't for me not taking you on the staff, you wouldn't have had that experience in '99 with those players. So it's another positive.
That's another positive.
That's another positive.
Joe,
you're welcome. You're welcome.
So, Joe, you have this unique perspective that I'd really like to hear. So, you were not on the staff that first year with us. So, if you could tell us what your initial impressions were going to the games, what the kids were telling you, tell us what you thought about what was going on that first year.
In 99, when you weren't coaching.
When you weren't coaching, you weren't involved. And then transition to when you did come on the staff in 2000 and what, and how that went. So let's start with that first year where you weren't involved. What were you hearing about, the new coaches or about the program and things that you liked, really?
Well, it wasn't Matty Morris that I talked to. I can't remember who I talked to, but what I got from some of the parents and some of the kids that I coached, and they were already in the school before Matty got there, told me that it was very detailed out, and it was very they didn't use the word rigid. It said that they watch their time. Everything is timed.
Scheduled.
And they very explicit how they want things done. And if we don't do them, we do them again. They do it until they're satisfied. Then we go on to the next thing. So I said, well, that's good, And then the first game came around, and
we got slaughtered by Keyport.
Yeah. Well, but the thing was, though, it was a different kind of game that they used to. If you look at the old films,
I did all of them.
Yeah, but I mean, I have some of the old films.
Yeah,
but I can't find our films. Notice I said our films.
That's fine. You were part of it.
All right. I just wanted to make sure I got that across.
Yeah.
So it looked like no one knew what they were doing. Like some guys were going this way, some guys were going that way. But when you and Tommy got there, it didn't change like overnight. But you could see, if you knew anything about football, you could see that the kids started going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys had a plan every game. You really had it planned out good.
Yeah.
I think I think one of the best things is the way you guys cut film. The way you look at something. Okay, we got this play over the middle. When we go trips left, they leave that spot open out there. Just look to your left, throw the ball to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Or we run to the right. So I mean, your game plan. You had a good game plan. It's just sometimes we didn't. We had
to. One of the things I'll bring up, which is funny, and I know a lot of the kids from the beginning, they remember this. we had to break some habits, and one of the habits we had to break was what I called the Allentown surround.
Yep, the surround. Right. Oh my God,
the Allentown
Simon was good
surround.
For that.
And so, and I told the kids, it's so funny, because we showed it on film, right, Greg? We showed it on film. Like, guys, everybody's surrounding the ball carrier, hoping that he gets scared and just falls to the ground.
Right.
This is called the Allentown surround. We don't surround the ball carrier. I mean, we smack him, we hit him, we intimidate him, and we got out of that real quick. But we transitioned. It took us a whole year to transition from the Allentown surround.
We had so many bad habits, to break and to change. And, I think our first year there, after we realized going into it, we just wanted to put a better product on the field. I can
Yeah.
remember saying that statement, that
Yeah.
line,
Yeah.
over and over and over and over again. And I think we did. Our stances were good football stances. We were lined up in the right spots. We didn't make a lot of plays because we just didn't have the talent to do it. But at least we were in the right spots, and the kids looked like they were well coached. And that's where it all starts from,
Right.
And so we just built upon that.
Right. And, and Joe, this is, you had mentioned him previously, and we would be remiss if we did not talk about, obviously there's a lot of players at Allentown that we feel very deeply about. We
Yep.
really, really do. But we want to talk about, this special player that Matt Mortis was and what he meant to us coming in Allentown, and the successes that we did have there had a lot to do with him. And, as I mentioned to Greg on a break, Matt was the only player for us ever to play as a freshman. He played 4 years. I'm just going to say this memory, and then Greg can get into how that happened, because, you just don't put freshmen on the field
No,
like this.
I was dead
Yeah.
set against it my
And
entire coaching career.
what I remember about him, I'll never forget this. And I don't know what when in the schedule this was, but we were playing away at Monsignor Donovan, and they were running a power I, and here he is, a little freshman outside linebacker, and they ran power toss to him, and I will never forget him fearlessly. I don't even know how much he weighed back then. Fearlessly, because he did exactly what his coach did, takes out both of these backs who were probably seniors.
Yeah.
Okay. He piles them up. Okay. And we end up, stopping this play for a loss because this little outside linebacker took these guys on savagely and did his job. And
Right.
And he was a freshman, so I'll never forget that. So Greg,
I think how this happened was when we came in and we started with the weight room program and then our summer workouts, he stood out. Even though he was small, he stood out. The way he carried himself, the questions he asked, the conversations you could have with him, you knew he was thinking on a higher level. And then we saw him performing, in practice, because I think the summer workouts they came to, and then we didn't have the freshman program, so then they went back to Pop Warner. I think that's how that whole thing happened, because that's how we knew Matt. We
Right.
saw him in our workouts and stuff. And I remember thinking to myself, we may need him. And I was always dead set against freshmen. I do not believe in breaking up a freshman team. But the thing was, we didn't have a freshman team.
Right.
So that didn't become a factor in it. When I talk to coaches now, sometimes they ask me, what do you think about freshmen? I'm like, I would never take a freshman off a freshman team if you had a freshman team. I think that you want them to stay together. But I remember this. I had a long, hard conversation and time with myself thinking about, should I do this? He's like 5'4". He's 125 pounds. I'm like, should I do this? Should I do this? And I remember, okay, I'm gonna call his parents and meet with his parents and ask them. I think I actually met with Coach Mortis, his dad, face to face. And I explained it to him, and I said I would never do it if I thought, he couldn't do it, and I would never put him in a position that I felt would be unsafe for him. And he agreed. And yada yada yada. The only player in our 10 years coaching together and my 10 years as a head coach that ever played as a freshman on a varsity program. And like you said, the only player ever in our programs that ever played 4 full years.
Yeah.
And he was a major, major contributor, and football knowledge, kid wise, awesome, awesome human being.
I remember, Greg, and I mentioned this, at a football dinner once about Matt, that, you were so frustrated on so many occasions, on offense, because we were just outmatched.
Right.
And you recall this vivid memory, because as Joe had mentioned, Matt was just this cerebral player who's beyond his years. You standing there with Matt like he was a coach and having a conversation about, what are we going to do? What are we going to run?
It's funny because I just had this vivid memory, and I'm not a big guy, 5'7", and I remember, and during the game, my hand on his shoulders talking to him, and he's smaller than me. And this is our quarterback. And I'm thinking to myself, that's never happened in my entire life where I'm taller than the freaking quarterback. And I remember I was able to have those conversations with Matt.
Yeah.
You know, he understood what I was saying, and he gave input, and I trusted his input. Even though he was a freaking freshman and sophomore, I was like, I trust this kid. And I mentioned this in the previous episode. When you can trust your players, you have such an advantage.
Oh, yeah.
And Matt was that kid that I trusted. And there were others. I
Yeah,
trusted
sure.
Thomas Keeley. I trusted Scott Aneker.
Oh, yeah.
There were guys Matt Krantz, I trusted. Mike
Pinto was
Neem,
another one.
Mike Nemeth, who was a great offensive line, our
Oh,
best
yeah.
offensive lineman we ever had.
Yeah,
The Bill Hinchers. We had a lot of good.
Talk to some deep Ryan Reiser,
Yeah.
at linebacker.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just day in, day out, just
Yeah.
doing the right thing, hard nosed. We had guys playing defensive line with the way we wanted to. Tough kids dropping people. Okay, making it difficult for these bigger, larger teams to run inside on us.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean,
it was
I
great.
used to love DePinto watching him play safety when he came down.
Yeah, Mike
It was like a
DePinto.
missile.
Mike DePinto was our first quarterback we had there in 1999.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was
Tough
great.
kid, man. Tough kid. Stoic, quiet, never said a freaking word. I mean, we got a lot out of those kids. We got a lot out of them.
Right.
And so, all right. So we talked about that. Let's move on to now. I obviously reached out to you and asked you to become part of the staff. Tell us what your experience that first year in 2000 was like for you as a coach, as a staff member. What was that like?
Okay, so I'll put it in a nutshell. I come home after the first practice, and I walk in the door, and I see Betsy, and I say, "Well, I thought I knew stuff about football." I said, "I'm the dumbest son of a bitch out there. I can't believe it." I said, "These two guys are they're like brain-o-matics with this stuff. I mean, my God, I learned more today than I did in the last 5 years." I said, "Holy shit." I said, "Yeah, I'm staying here now. I don't care." And that first summer, when you did take me, it was the first time that I told Betsy I am taking a week off from work to go to doubles.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You're going to take 5 days off on your vacation? Yes. I said, I want to be there with these kids.
Right.
And I took off, and I don't regret it to this day. I mean, I loved it. I loved it. And that's when it was real doubles.
Right.
That's when you worked in the morning, and then we sat around, watched a little film in the beginning of the afternoon, and back out on that field.
Right.
I mean,
so can you remember any specific changes that stood out right away, like from your previous experience there?
Well, the 1 year, I mean, the only thing is the offensive line.
Right.
Because that's where I really was. I didn't do too much with the special teams. I just started. I went to special teams because I like being in charge.
Right. Right.
So
yeah,
that I know. I thought you were going to stay there forever. I did, and I thought Tommy was going to stay forever. So, excuse me. So I said, you know what? What goes in and out of what I noticed that special team coaches go in and out, like they're changeable almost.
They come and go, yeah.
Yeah. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start really looking, because I punted and I kicked. I started studying it, and I said, I'm going to try to be. I'm going to be the third coach, special teams, and that's what I did.
Right.
So the thing I noticed the most, and I already said it before on the broadcast, that when you didn't like something that the O-line did, it stopped right then and say, all right, stop. It didn't matter if it took you 15 minutes to get that kid to do the right steps or to tell me he's got to do this.
Right.
He can't do it the way you're showing him. Okay. So then that was the biggest notice, that you You could be standing at the 50 and yell across to me at the 10, Joe, do that again.
Right.
And then you would like start walking over to me. Oh, okay, everyone straight up, let's go. And that was a big difference. And the kids saw that leadership.
Right.
They followed you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they followed Tommy.
Absolutely.
I mean, those boys on defense. I mean, you lost kids on offense because they couldn't wait to play defense.
I know. It always
Thomas
happened.
was the only one that wanted to play offense.
Right.
And Maddie, so many kids wanted to play.
Right.
So that was the biggest thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
That the way you knew everything, you never fumbled over an answer. Never.
Right.
I never heard you go, well, let me think about it. I never saw you do that.
Right.
You had the answer like that. So did he.
Yeah.
So, and I disagreed with Tommy in the beginning when he cut people.
Everyone does.
Yeah. And then as we started doing better, because he taught it. Back is I try to do it now with if I have the D line. Hey, if you're getting pushed back, just roll and take them out.
Right.
All right. Let the linebackers clean up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get pushed back 3 yards. And then the guy gets 3 yards and then he bounces to the outside. That's bull.
Right.
And I don't even know what the rule is anymore. Like, can they do that? Like, I thought it was 3 yards either way by line of scrimmage.
No, you could. Yeah, you can take them out.
Do it.
Yeah, you can.
But you got to start on the waist and then go down. You can't nosedive right down. That's what they told me.
All right, Tom, you have anything you want to?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think this is very impactful, and it's interesting. Joe joins the staff in 2000, and I think it's amazing that we had our best year there, and just to as the years go on, this year of 2000 is really impactful to me, and the reason is from 1990 to 1998. Okay, Allentown won 5 games total, 5 games, 5 varsity games. I'll say it again, 5.
Right.
Okay, our first year in '99, we won 2. Okay, we were not a good team by any stretch. Okay, and then the next year, okay, Joe comes on, and the kids got it down. They learned quick, and I can really remember, and I think the Allentown kids will appreciate this, that I can remember this was the fastest in 1 year that defensively that kids were really showing such a huge difference in their technique, and tackling, and they listened to everything that we said like a sponge. So that was one of the reasons why. But we ended up with a 4-5 season, which was a shocker, and had to be a shocker back in the community. And and it culminated with a wonderful game. We were 3-5, entering our last game against our rival right down the road. Joe, what's the road that connects Allentown and Heightstown? They say it's the Battle of what? What's that road?
It's 571.
Yeah, because Heightstown, Allentown.
Right, and so
they have an award now they give out, or maybe they did when you guys were there.
And they were a better team than us, I believe. But it was such an exciting game. We completed a long pass towards the end of the game, and I don't think Matt was the quarterback throwing
in 2000.
I'm not sure, but anyway, we won at the end, and we ended up with a 4-5 season, which was, we couldn't even imagine that at the time. So Joe, if you could just describe to us that, what was it like to, all of a sudden we're on the, a 4-5 team, and after all you were very successful in Pop Warner, and the Pop Warner program was, but it never transitioned over to the high school during the 90s.
We didn't get everybody.
Right.
If we would have got everybody, I'm telling you now, if everybody would have came from that midget team and some of the peewees, we would have been so successful. We were a group 2 then. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I don't know if we would beat Manasquan, but we would have been right up there. You would have made the playoffs every year until those kids graduated.
Yeah. We touched on this.
Of the team went other places.
We touched on this yesterday in our pre-podcast meeting, and back then I freaking hated that. But then when you reflect back on it, why would you want to go to a team that won 5 games in 8 years, 9 seasons? So I
Yeah.
understood that part about it, but it was still aggravating and pissed me off like to no end. When we had to play that team and stood across there and they do special newspaper articles before the game about how 20 players on that team would have been Allentown kids. They just kept hammering it home. It was like just hammering us with it. Oh my God.
It's like
You guys
it's like
have to
they
remember.
stole them.
You guys have to
They
remember,
stole
I
them from
was
us.
29 years old going into 2000,
Yeah,
that
I know.
season of 2000. I mean, I was still 29. And I was just like, it was so difficult, you
Yeah,
know?
I'm remembering this now, and I want to get this in because I think it's important, and I want to recognize Joe for this. But obviously, everyone that was coaching in 2001, okay, experienced 9/11, and Joe's role was very unique on 9/11. The days following it, the weeks following 9/11. And one of the things I'll never forget is that because Allentown is so close to McGuire Air Force Base, and we were practicing after after 9/11, and as everybody recalls back then, all the planes were grounded, okay, for 3 days. There were no flights, but there were flights coming out of McGuire, and every 10 minutes a huge military transport plane would fly over our practice field, and we knew where they were going.
Yeah.
They were going out, okay, to Afghanistan out that way, for a buildup. But I'll never forget that the skies were so quiet, and everybody that lived through that knew how odd and eerie that was to not hear anything in the sky. But because of us and a couple other schools, because where we were, they flew over us.
Right.
And with Coach Murphy, I just remember Coach Murphy. I don't know how he did it. I mean, he was at 9/11 and he was helping, and Joe, if you could just briefly, just tell us
I wasn't there the day
Right.
the buildings got hit, because I took off because I was still working for the city and I bought the restaurant then.
Right.
And I was working like a dog. So me and Betsy let's say we took that day off for some reason. And it bothers me today that I wasn't there. Not that, I could have did anything different, but I went in the next morning at 2:00 in the morning, and I got right through with my ID, and it was so, I just couldn't believe the amount of dust on the streets. 6 inches of concrete. There was papers, pocketbooks, shoes, briefcases. Everything was all over the place. And the only thing, I went right to the site. They let me go into the site, and they gave me to battalion chief and said, "Look, this is a steam for the foreman. Whatever you need, you guys need oxygen. The shop is 2 blocks away." And I said, "I just want to help. Can I help dig or something? Anything?" He goes, "Just stay with me for a little while." And I walked around and I saw the hole in the ground, and it went forever, So the funny thing, that going a little forward now, I was there for a couple days because I slept in the shop. But after a while, I went home. I think I came to practice one day, maybe 2, and I told Greg that, I got to go back. I can't. I have to be there.
Mhm.
So I went back, and they were having a hard time finding anybody, and they had all these beams shooting off the buildings, because don't forget, building 6 went down. I don't know how that went down before, how that even went down. The Trade Center didn't even hit it. But they had these beams going across because they were afraid that the buildings were going to come down on top of the guys that were, rescuing people or trying.
Mhm.
And they would have these alarms go off to test the beams. And, you know, all of a sudden we would have to stop and have to go to a certain area. And people were coming in from California.
Yeah.
And you had to have a special ID, which I still have. And the guys are yelling to you, I'll help. I'm a volunteer. I'll help. Just you can't believe how many people.
Wow.
And what I remember, and this is why I drink this water to today, because I'll never forget, we're going to the site, and this big truck rolls in, and it says Poland Springs on it. They opened it up, it was full of water.
Mm-hmm.
And they just started taking it out. And with these passes, only people that were police or firefighters or civil servants were in this area, and they would just leave in the water on street corners, like, you know.
Wow.
And then McDonald's showed up, and it was just restaurants were showing up.
So you still buy Poland Springs today for that reason. That's the only thing you drink.
Yep.
You talk about loyalty and dedication, and
it is the reason why Joe Murphy will forever live in my heart.
Well,
for moments like this.
Well, now since we brought that up, and you made me, I didn't think I was going to, finally, and I know other people are going to watch this, and I don't really care anymore. But the city kept, after months went by, they had people that were helping people, psychiatrists, therapists, and every time we got big envelopes with our paychecks. Every effing week, the big prints, 3rd floor of the municipal building, go talk to somebody if you were, part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, every morning when I went in and I started going back and forth and that thing was burning, all around going to Allentown, when I would see where the trade center was, I would cry.
Mm-hmm.
I would cry all the way to my parking space. And then I would straighten up when I got into the shop, and then I would start my day. But it bothered me that we didn't find anybody. Not that, again, I wasn't down in the hole where the firefighters were, but it's just how everybody came together.
Joe,
I was there in '93 when they bombed it. I was with my brother.
Yeah,
we were 3 blocks away.
My dad was in the trade center when that happened.
Trade center.
He was there.
No kidding.
Well,
I didn't know that, Greg.
Yeah.
And I didn't go back. I retired in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
September 11th. I made sure I retired September 11th. And
you did?
Yeah, 2002.
Wow.
And I didn't go back there till almost 15 years.
Wow.
I never went back. I went to Lower Manhattan to see the guys, but I never went there.
Mm.
And my sister-in-law came in from Florida. Guess where she wanted to go?
Well, Joe, I just want to thank you for sharing that, man. I mean, that obviously was very, very intense and very emotional. And
I did go see somebody though, finally, and I did feel better after I left.
Good.
Nice.
I really did. But I still, like when I talk about it, and I just got certified by 9/11 for my health.
Right.
They take care of anything with my lungs now.
Yeah.
Because I got so many problems with my lungs.
Mm-hmm.
And I never smoked. So it's, anyway.
So, I mean, obviously, being with Joe, on the Allentown staff, and and it was just, I am so happy that Greg took that job, because my life just became better, being there at Allentown and meeting everybody there and having this long-term relationship with you. And before we get into the next phase, the final part of our interview with you, that's very personal to me and to all of us, anything how we want to sum up our Allentown experience, Greg?
Yeah, I want to say one other thing, piggybacking on what just happened, and you just made a spark. So we spent the Super Bowl at Coach Murphy's house with his beautiful wife and friends and my wife and Abby and you.
Yeah.
Cody came. And on the way home, because Kim had met Joe, but very randomly, like no in-depth. And on the way home, she said to me, I can understand why you love him so much. And I said to her, Joe Murphy is one of the few people that truly knows who I am, and I'm going to love him forever because of it.
You ain't kidding, man.
You know?
I would love to tell one story.
Go ahead, tell whatever you want. Tell it.
So, to the listeners, thank you for watching this. So after being with head coach LaCava, as we called him, I learned that he was very, very particular how he dressed and how his hair was. And I'm the complete opposite of that.
You're a wreck.
So,
like I always say, you're a disaster.
So Greg was totally in control, even of the coaches. So before a game, Thursday, say we had a Friday night game, Thursday's practice, when we went back upstairs, he would say, wear the white shirts, khakis, and be here at 3:30. The game's at home. Okay. So we would leave. So he had a closet that left to his desk. So I would go in there when he wasn't around and look at it on Thursday or Friday and see what he would put his clothes out the day before. So he would have a red shirt with a vest sometimes, but he would wear a red shirt. So I used to go home and make sure I had the red shirt, and I would bring the white shirt too, because I knew I would walk into the coach's thing and he'd be, all right, that's what we're gonna do. If we're getting down on by the 10, we're gonna run these plays and real serious. And I would walk in with the same shirt that he was gonna wear, and he'd stop and go, Murphy, what is wrong with you? Why do you keep? Why'd you wear that? I said white. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I'll go get the shirt. No, forget it. So then I would leave, go downstairs, change in to the white shirt, and now he would have a completely different outfit on. Everything, he would change his pants. And I must have did this like 6 times in the course of all the time he was there. I had you guys laughing so much.
All this shit's going on behind my back.
Oh,
that's
my
loyal
God.
assistant coaches.
Here we go.
Torturing me.
That's
Yeah,
right.
here we go. Torturing me.
Murphy, here we go. What, really, So, yeah, it was
anyone else would have been fired.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, how are you going to fire a guy from volunteer? Come on. What am
well,
I losing?
I can still fire you.
The only thing I would have missed is being around the kids and you guys,
Right.
I would have stopped. If you really got mad, I would have stopped. But it shows you did have a sense of humor.
I have a very good sense of humor.
Well, let's not go too far there, buddy.
Well, we needed one. That's
we definitely did.
We needed one.
Because I was putting out fires that you guys didn't even know about most of the time.
Yeah.
At Allentown.
Yeah. So Joe, before we move on, just I'm just curious because I never asked you this question. How did you feel when you heard that Greg had stepped down and that we weren't going to be coaching there anymore?
Jeez.
It wasn't a happy day. It wasn't a happy day for the program, number one. And number two, I wasn't happy, because I knew that they took such a long time in the process to get Greg, that to get somebody like Greg in there. Because now, don't forget, now I was around Jersey high school football.
Right.
And I saw, the best coach that we played against was John Adams. He had class.
Right.
He has
Nice
so
guy.
much class,
We
that guy.
Very,
we
very
still
nice.
talk about him fondly.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? I was so happy when he beat Neptune in the finals, even though, anyway. So I just knew that we were gonna slide, but I was determined. I was staying. I stayed because it was like that. I was praying for a life raft or something to come and help us, and it just it was the worst time
Right.
Okay.
for us. 30
Okay.
games,
Well,
30 games you lost straight?
3 years.
that's
0 and
right.
10, 3 years in a row. Wow. I never
That
even
was that was
I
right
mean,
after that was
that
right
was
after
right
we left?
after us. Yeah.
Bob Massari.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a good coach.
I
Just
love Bob was a good man. He
he
was a good
was.
man.
He still is a good
He
man.
still is a
If I
good
see
man.
him,
Love Bob. I love Bob.
just didn't have it together, So
All right. So, Tom, you had asked me you had said something about leaving there, what my thoughts were.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, first of all, I want to bring up somebody else that was part of this in a different way, and that was James Fisher, and what he did for our program with the lights, paying for the lights out of his own pocket, and he
That's right.
fought to do that, and he didn't give up, and he actually made the kids understand that the program was important by doing that for the program, and I think that was a huge thing for our program.
It was.
And it changed a lot. We had night games. There was a different feel around it all.
Yep.
So I need to personally, and I know I've done it 30 years ago. I want to personally thank Jim Fisher again for everything he did for our program, and out of his own pocket, out of the kindness of his heart, and out of his fondness for us, I think, as men, and coaching his son, who we coached.
Yep.
So he definitely did a great thing for Allentown program. So, and again, it was hard, it was difficult. I was a young man fighting battles, but to the players that we had over there, I just felt like I was your general and you were my soldiers, and I will always
Yeah.
feel that way about those
oh
guys
yeah,
from Allentown.
Yeah. Yeah.
they followed to the best of their ability.
Yep.
they were they
See,
they
another thing about Allentown, if you watch some teams, they they we lost games. We did. We lost a lot of games, but the kids never gave up. That when you have a team that wins easily,
Right.
okay, you lose some of that motivation. And when you have a team that's struggling, fighting up that damn mountain, us as coaches start thinking, how am I gonna influence these kids to do this?
Hmm.
You have to, you got every week you got to work on getting them back up to where they were,
Yeah.
and you want to raise them up a little bit more to win this next game. And it takes a lot for us to do that sometimes, but we
Right.
did it each day, each
Right.
game. I mean, even if we won 2 games in a row, we were still like, the next game was just as important as the last two.
Yeah.
It's almost like playing golf. You always remember the last shot that was good, but you forget about the other 30 shots that you stunk at.
Yeah. It's true.
So it's a challenge.
Mhm.
No one likes to lose.
No.
No coach
no,
goes out there and says, I don't care
no,
about this.
no, it's not fun.
Maybe some do. I don't know. I
It's
mean,
not fun.
I never
But
did it for the
Joe,
money.
but what which Greg and I have said on previous podcasts, and it's so important about that yes, I mean sometimes we lose, but there's so many guys that check out and don't do their best job when they know that they don't stand a chance of winning. And
Mhm.
that's something that just is not a part of us. I don't
It's not.
understand that part, and we just coached harder, than ever when we were in those situations where we couldn't win. We just
Right.
coached harder,
Right.
I'll tell you
Well,
one thing I got from Greg, and I mean this with all my heart, is that when things went bad, and they did quite often, Greg, no matter, and it was, the quarterback is a rough job. I don't give a crap what anybody says. or the receiver drops the ball, Greg never lashed out as the kid was walking to him. Like when I was at the lower level, sometimes I would like almost lose it. But when I got with Greg, he waited till the kid got in front of him, and then he talked to him like a man. And then I think that's why they respected you so much,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that they followed, and they did believe in what we were doing was going to make us winners.
Right.
So, I mean, because other coaches that I had prior to that yelled a little bit, and
Right.
I was the same way, and I stopped doing that.
Right. Well, when you're yelling at someone, you're not correcting them. You're not correcting what went wrong. You know what I mean? And so there's no teaching moment,
None.
so, none at
Tommy
all.
yells in a different way, but he doesn't yell at the kid.
Right.
Like if he wanted the linebacker to move over, he'd scream, shift over. He wouldn't say, Billy, shift over, So, I mean, and Tom has a great way of rounding things up and putting it into perspective, how things should be,
Right.
no matter how mad you are. Right, Tom?
Well, God
do.
knows we've had
You
enough.
do.
We had enough practice.
Yeah, right. Listen, I will say it. One more thing. I will say it till the end of time. High school football coaches are role models for young men.
Oh, yeah.
More important than any win, any loss, any success, any failure. Our job is to be positive role models for young men. And I don't care what anyone says. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I'm just going to respond a little bit to a message that I received, without giving any content about it, that was critical, okay,
Right.
of how I in particular coached, a certain way on defense. And I will say this, so all high school coaches, okay, this is my opinion, but if you don't agree with this opinion, I don't know what you're doing. It's our job, okay, to put kids in their best position to succeed, their best position to succeed. Okay, not, I don't like how this looks. People are going to think I'm a bad coach, if I have a kid do this, but the kid's going to look bad because he can't do it. Okay, but you're going to feel fine because, you did the textbook thing, but this little guy out there is getting killed. Okay, you got no guts. Okay, it's about putting kids in the position to succeed. Okay, and I will always do that. Okay, to my last freaking day on this earth, I am going to put a kid in a position to succeed to the best of his abilities, regardless of what that means on the field, So anyway, I needed to say that.
Well, that's ego. That's ego. That's coaches' egos that get in the way.
So the people that don't understand what Tommy just said, but I think what he said is that your mind, we teach the kids to lift and run and get their bodies in shape. And what coaches at high school level have to do is get in that kid's head and say, you can do this.
Right.
And when they fail at it, you pick them up and you bring them back up and you say, okay, we're going to do it this way now. Let's try this way. Maybe we'll do better. Maybe you'll do better. And give them the confidence that they can move on. Never mind football. They had the confidence to go and they get a job and they do something wrong in the job. They know they can come back from it because anybody can be a winner.
Yeah.
It takes a tough kid to come lose and then say, and then come back again and try to play.
Well, I like describing it this way. Okay, it's very easy for everyone to understand. Okay, if you have a 5'7" corner and you put him out there, in man coverage on a 6'4" kid that's going to get a scholarship, okay, and then you're going to yell at the kid, okay, for giving up a touchdown or for getting outmatched, or are you serious? Are you real? You know what I mean? Like, give me a break. How can you leave this kid out there get embarrassed like that? Okay, you got to help him.
Just like the 155-pound D tackle who gets driven 7, 10, 15 yards and put on his back. You are not doing your job as a coach if you continue to allow that to happen.
Well, he could get hurt too. I mean,
Mhm.
going backwards is not a good thing in football.
But one thing I sold the kids on, and no one's going to run in there, And so I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, it's not sound." Well, you know what? If, like Greg said, if you have a 80-pound advantage on my kid, why am I going to allow my kid to get destroyed? Okay, and feel terrible, not help his team out, have his other teammates get upset at him. I'm not going to do that. He's going to feel good about himself about dropping that big guy right at the line of scrimmage, creating a pile of humanity. Okay, where a back has to run around, not through. Okay, and I don't care what anybody says. You know what I mean?
Well, there's an old saying that's going to be right up that what Tommy was just talking about. In marriage, there's an old saying that you say, you pick your battles. So Tommy looked at it and said, okay, they run the ball 87 times. They pass the ball 20 times. So I'm taking their bread and butter away. And if they pass the ball on us, so be it.
Right.
But they're not going to run.
Right.
Or if they pass the ball 80 times and they don't run, then Tom tried to take that away.
And here's the great thing about that. We can dig up film where that mentality worked.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
mentality worked. We have film after game of going into games, whether you were a passing team, you weren't passing.
Yeah.
You got no freaking chance on going down the field, throwing the ball.
Absolutely.
Or whether you were a running team and you ran off tackle, you're not running off tackle for the rest of the game. For the whole game. It's not happening.
No, it's not going to happen.
Until your team gets well-rounded,
and we were
that's
able
what
to,
you got to do.
And we were able to do it with inferior talent. And I have to clarify this when I say inferior. I mean physically inferior. That's what I mean. I don't mean as a football player. I just mean no one that goes up. Joe, you said it. You had a 300-pound nose guard on you. You were 225. You couldn't move the guy. That doesn't make you an inferior player.
Well,
it makes you physically inferior. It makes you physically inferior.
So, I mean, I still think about that game that we lost. I still think about that kid. And I could see his thighs were like this big. And just like, I turned to TR and I said,
and part of this podcast, when we were going into talking about this, stemmed from Allentown. And one of our things we wanted to get across to young coaches and hopefully any coach, our contemporaries as well, is that when you are coaching teams with less talent, you have to find ways to have individual kids have successes every snap. And if that is taking kids down that weigh 80 pounds more than you, it is. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Oh, yeah.
And we always believed in that philosophy, and it's never done us wrong. I'm going to say one more thing, and then I got to stop this because we're going to go on forever. But here's the thing about it. We played Middletown South against that tight end that they had that year in 2013.
Yeah, Taylor Henderson, great player.
And we had Anthony Gargiulo playing him.
Oh, boy.
And what did Anthony Gargiulo do a few times? Took him out, took the tight end out. And Anthony was a Division I football player. So it's not just when you have inferior player. There are times in the game when that has to be done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Given the situation at hand. Right. And Anthony was that type of, cerebral player. My point
was he was physically huge, but he was doing what he was coached to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to, we got a little bit left. We've been doing this for a long time. We could possibly, work this into a 2 podcasts. I don't know, but we have to get this in, obviously. So we're going to, Coach LaCava's last season was 2003. We were there for 5 years in Allentown. And of course, our 5 seasons. And of course, our relationship with Coach Murphy continued. Okay. And he comes back in the picture, when my daughter Abby started to kick. Okay. And we in our last episode, we had Abby on, and, she went through, how it happened with her, with Coach Murphy, and the reason that I brought him on. So real briefly, I'm just going to say when Abby started to kick in 2012, I was never a kicking coach or anything like that. And I didn't know how it was going to happen. So I didn't immediately try to get someone on to coach her. I wanted to see how she was going to do. And I knew a little bit, but, certainly not that much. And it looked like she was getting interested and it was going to, she wanted, this was going to happen. And so, as I continued to coach her and, I reached my limit and she started to get better. She was frustrated because she wasn't improving. And I just said, wow, I said, I got to find someone. So, as she mentioned, we initially went to took a private lesson because her two friends who were place kickers were taking a private lesson from this guy. And he was a very nice guy, but he was too soft on her, and she sensed it, because she was a female. He wasn't like coaching her hard enough. And we talked about it, and that's when I'll never forget that I called Joe and I said, Joe, I really need you. I need you. Abby wants to coach, wants to kick, and I got no one. I've reached the end, and I need you. And Joe, can you just take it from there in regards to when I first asked you and what was going through your mind and when you first met Abby, and then take it from there.
I keep bringing my poor wife into this, but you called and I think I was at home or I was in the garage working on the car. And I stopped what I was doing. I went inside and I said, you know who just called me? She goes, no, I don't know who just called you. I said, Coach Letson. Oh, how's he doing? He wants me to coach Abby. He wants me to be a coach on Colts Neck. So she said, don't forget, Aiden came to us in 2012.
Yeah. So
I stopped coaching at Allentown because we got Aiden. And so I had to ask her, I said, can I go? I won't be home all the time. And she says, of course you can go. So, I might have said yes to you right away, but then I had to go ask her anyway.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing in my mind that, I started thinking about. So, yeah, I was so proud of myself. I really was.
You should be.
Oh my God, I never thought it'd be a day that Tommy Letson would ask me that he needs help in anything with football. And I was so happy because don't forget, in the previous podcasts that you guys had, you brought up that Sam and Abby used to run around. Well, yes. I remember them running around. Yeah. I remember them, Dad, oh, I'll be right there, And, sometimes I would even go help. If they needed something, I would go do it,
I remember, yeah.
So I remember them, as small children. And then it was an absolute pleasure. I can't tell you. I am going to tell you. So let's say I probably been coaching high school football somewhere between 19 and 20 years. So, sorry. And in that time, I took a lot of courses. When we went to the clinics, I wouldn't go to the linebackers. I wouldn't do this. I went to special teams because that's the coach I wanted to be, and I knew I could do it. So I knew I could help her. I knew I could, So when and that's because you guys, because I never knew you went to those overnight things to stay, and we took some day courses, and so I was getting better and better at it. And I'm pretty confident now I can, well, especially after Abby, I never had a kicker in my life like her. And it didn't matter if she was a girl. I didn't treat her any different than I treated the boys. In fact, she was harder on herself than I was on. I would say, let's take a break. You just did an hour of kicking. And you guys don't know what it is because you probably weren't kickers, but you know what it is to do 20 dry kicks without kicking the ball? You know what that does to them? and I'm sitting there, like the goon I am. So you didn't swivel your hips up. You picked your head up. You got to plant your plant foot this way. You got to turn your foot. Whatever I told you got to swing your body into it. Don't drag your leg across. Abby, and it gets monotonous for them. It's bad for me.
Right.
I was happy I know Tommy wasn't happy, but she goes, I want to kick off the ball. And how do you do the onside kick? I said, well, you need the tee first. I said, you sure you want to do this? Because this is a little dangerous, because when I do the other side, I do the receiving side, and they do an onside kick. They usually send somebody for the kicker because you have the momentum to go straight, or you got more speed.
Yeah. I
said, they're going to come after you. Oh, well, I mean, just show me how to do it. So I showed her how to do it. And she was, learning how to do it. Then she said something to Tom. And Tom, like, almost blew a gasket. Yeah, no way, no way. So I said, you know what? We'll keep practicing. Just, all right, he's right. But just in case they do need you, they might put you in. They'll tell you, not to run down the field. So, but then we started, you guys wanted me. Greg told me, I just need the extra points. That's all I need. And that's, I didn't like that.
Extra point field goal.
Yeah. You said extra. You said I'm worried about the extra point. I need that point. And gotcha. I knew that, but I'm saying to myself, you know what? She's got to learn how to kick a field goal just in case.
Mm-hmm.
There's 1 second left. They're at the 25-yard line. I could teach her how to do a 35-yard kick.
Right.
So we started, and again, the fundamentals weren't there. So we didn't have to start from scratch, but the determination this player had, and I have to call her a player because I still talk about Abby. I'm still coaching at Allentown. So when I do get a kicker that needs work, I wish that I would have kept the film that I took of her on the camera, but I don't have that phone anymore. But no matter what I said, no matter what we did, she never complained. Never.
She wanted it so bad.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I never saw anybody that was so determined to put this stinking ball through the upright. She just, if she, the big deal was in the beginning that she got, I said, when you get the 10 in a row, you're going to start feeling confident. And, she get the 7 and then miss. Back down to number 1 now. We're going to start all over again, okay? And then I would make her close her eyes.
Oh.
So she would step back. I said, close your eyes, keep your head down, and when I say go, you go. And then, because that simulates the ball's not there. So when you're staring down at it, it's a little easier. So then I started getting down on a knee, close your eyes, and I would say go, and then I would take the ball and put it down, and then she would kick it. So this all took time. But, all of a sudden she got to the 10. Then we got to 12. And then we got to 14. And then I said, okay, now we're going to move it back.
Right.
And every day what I did then, and I hope I did this, and I built our confidence up, we would warm up, and I would start kicking from the 35-yard line. So that's a 45. So she would miss it just barely, or she would shank it to the left. I said, okay, now we'll move to the 35. That's still a pretty long kick, or the 30.
Mm-hmm.
When we got to the 28, 30-yard line, she started hitting them all the time. So then I moved it up to the 20. I said, this is your range right now. You can feel confident. If you got the wind behind you, you could probably hit a 45. You got the wind in your face. Yeah, the problem is you got to be on the left hash. So you got to tell coach if he's going to run and try for it, you got to go on the left hash because you're going to drag your leg across. So you're going to push it into the wind and then it's going to bring it back. So she listened like I was I played professional football,
Well, Joe, I am going to share my screen here because we got some pictures and
Oh
to
God.
to bring everybody into what it was like.
Oh Jesus.
Okay.
No,
And
no, oh God.
this is Coach Murphy showing up on his bike.
Oh my.
His first meeting with Abby. I met him up on met him at Field Joe, I think on 33, out towards your way. And this is Joe and Abby, practicing, on the screen as well. And I will never forget this image of you pulling up, and in your bike, okay, leather jacket, and that helmet.
These are the guys I allowed on my staff, like that.
to have your first session with Abby, and these are very special moments and pictures for me. But I wanted to share this so our viewers could see it. But I'm going to stop my screen share now because I see you have a picture in your background in your room there.
Let me go get it.
Yeah, and I'd like you to go get that so you could show it to everyone.
So this picture hangs in, I'd like to say, a private room that I have just some family pictures in, me and Betsy, the kids in a room. And this hangs downstairs in that room. And when she came to the house with Tom, and she gave it to me, and I said, wait, it's not signed. She didn't want to sign it. And I said, you want to tell me you're going to be a stinking writer? You can't write something on it? So she did something real simple, and she just said, thanks, Coach Murphy. Wrote a name, put the year down, and a football number. But I can't say enough about that. From that time on, when I went back to coaching, I talk about this player like she played for the NFL after she left. I mean, I've never coached anybody, football, kicking, that had the determination that this young player had.
Well, Joe, I mean, the feeling is so mutual. I know you heard her on her podcast, what she thinks about you. But for me personally, what you did, this was such an impactful time in her life and what it's meant to her today. And I just don't think it would have happened without you. I mean, you two just had this chemistry, and just for the viewers, just so they know, like, she just didn't come and be the kicker. I mean, she won the job out, but she was one of the top kickers in the state in 2013. I mean, she made 44 extra points.
And that's another thing I'm proud of.
I mean, so you coached one of the top kickers, in the state, that year, which is really impressive, male or female, but it makes it extra special that she was a female, and it'll go down in history that way.
To me, that had nothing to do with it, that she was, like, I didn't look at her and say, I'm going to have to take it easy with her. I treated her like in fact, she abused me more than I abused her. I mean, I was getting tired of standing up sometimes. I said, I wanted to go sit on the bench and just talk to her, but I'm good. I want to keep going. Holy shit, man. So, and I probably never did this, but I wanted to thank Greg for allowing me, because I know he took a chance, because I wasn't, I could be, he tried to get me on the staff, but, they had a regulation or something. So I don't think I ever thanked them for letting me to take a chance on me, as wacky as I am sometimes.
It was
I was
definitely
always afraid that something was going to happen.
I never felt like I was taking a chance because I trust you, and I would have went to bat for you no matter what. And they weren't going to say anything at that point.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because you know what? When you left, I was still there.
Yeah.
And when you left, I said one thing to you that you probably forgot, but I said, don't, wherever you go, good luck. And I said, no one's going to talk about you, not in front of me.
Right.
He said, oh, that freaking LaCava. He did. A couple of guys, went around the mobile field a little bit, and I just stopped it right there.
You're talking about Allentown?
Yeah,
After
I'm talking
Allentown.
about the other coach that even was on the staff that was still there.
Right.
I said, listen, what Greg walked into, you couldn't even handle it.
Right.
You see that? You see the bird we had? He had to fight tooth and nail for that concession stand. They were splitting it 20 different ways. And you know what? They were coming to watch football.
Yeah.
The band wouldn't even play at the home games.
I'm gonna have no comment on that one.
Yeah.
Because Greg knows how I feel.
I know.
The band is better now.
Well, I can't say enough about what you've meant to me, Joe. As we wind down this podcast, and this was just wonderful. Look, I mean, it's one of the top. When a guy starts getting older, and you look at the biggest moments in your life, like knowing you and being at Allentown was one of the biggest moments of my life. It's on that list. And what you meant to
absolutely, me too. And
with Abby,
it's just not my football career.
Yeah,
it's in my life.
Yeah,
I mean, you guys actually changed the way I looked at myself. I even got a little bit neater. And Greg's got me down pretty good. He said to me the other day, how many guys do you know for 25 years? And I do have a personality that is kind of rough sometimes, and I say things that hurt people, and people get mad, and they don't talk to me anymore. And it's just the way I am. Like if you say something I don't believe in, or you're saying something against somebody I like, it doesn't matter who you are. I'll just tell you that you're wrong.
Right.
If you want to keep going with it, hey, I came from a long line of arguing people in the Murphy family.
Well, it's funny because I think that in the first episode, I made it a point to say this podcast is going to be about real talk.
Yeah.
And I appreciate people that talk real. I don't like BS. I don't like sugarcoating shit. It drives me insane. And one thing you will never get from Joe Murphy is sugarcoating anything.
No.
But though that's just not the only characteristics that drew me to him and continues to draw me to him. It is his undying loyalty. If you are his friend, you have undying loyalty. And I feel the same way to him. I have undying loyalty to Joe, just like I have undying loyalty to you, Tom. And Joe Murphy and I's relationship, we haven't really touched on it, went way beyond the football field.
Oh, yeah.
Like when we weren't coaching, in the years I wasn't coaching, in the years we weren't coaching together, we spent hundreds of hours together just doing shit.
Well, we made money for a while.
What'd you say?
We made money for a while.
The painting business, busting our ass with that. Overnight stuff.
You even bought a bike.
Bought a motorcycle because of Joe Murphy. We rode motorcycles together. I helped him do his car and got a piece of metal in my eyeball that I couldn't get out by sanding his car down. But
Tom, he was the only guy that worked on the car that didn't get dirty.
But I busted my ass. All these off the football field things are just as important, probably more important than on the football field.
Yes.
And I am grateful to have taken that Allentown job, to, like Coach said before, to meet you. And I never felt anything but complete loyalty and love for you, and I will always feel that way.
Thank you. I feel the same way. And I tell you what, all the kids that came from this area that you coached, they all look up to you, both of you. I mean, you guys actually started the wheel turning.
Mm-hmm.
You made sure the uniforms were new and crisp, and we had we had the newest things out, and you had to fight for it. I know you had to fight for it.
Right.
So the kids believed. I know
Right.
they did. I mean, they still talk about you.
Right.
Like they still want to know if I see it. And I said, yeah, we talk, once in a while. But now that we're that you and I'm so happy that you did retire, that I see more of you now, and you got a little bit more energy now, and you're not bogged down with all those homework assignments.
Yeah, right. That chance. All right, Coach. Any last words?
No,
Coach
but
Letts?
thank you.
No,
both.
I mean, like I said, this was.
Hold
this
on,
was
Joe.
just-
You'll be the last.
This was
Oh,
just
okay.
a wonderful. This was just a wonderful time for me, and this is just very special, and Joe knows that, and and we're gonna love this episode and watch it over and over. Abby's gonna love this episode, and like I said, knowing Joe Murphy, one of the top things in my life. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Without a doubt, I feel the same exact way. Murph, anything you want to end with?
Yeah, sure. You guys have been a change in my life, and not just football either. So I just want to thank both of you. And if you're like missing a spot, in about 2 months, and you need somebody I would love to come back, because I have so many stories to tell. And it's not about, we can, if I find the old films, then we can go over the old films.
Love it.
Right. Right.
But I have so many nice stories to tell about Greg and I
At my expense,
when we
of course.
traveled.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
that's
Many.
true. We went to
He probably has some about me too, but that's all right.
We went
You
to 2 Super Bowls together. Forgot about that.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah.
But thank you for letting me, especially, I didn't, like when you asked me, I think it was just going to be, Allentown, and then,
No.
Abby. But it was a pleasure for me to call some of my friends today and that I played with, and I say, hey, I'm going to be on this podcast, and they want me to talk about when I played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, oh God, Murph, you got to be kidding. What are you going to tell me? You what, played the bench? I said,
It doesn't end. It doesn't end.
Yeah.
You don't get to talk about it. Betsy's tired of hearing it.
Yeah, I get
You
it.
don't want to hear it. So thank you both. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I would do anything for you.
I know.
We know.
Anything.
We know. All right,
We
Coach
love you,
Murphy.
man.
It was great.
We
We
love
love
you.
you. We love you,
Okay.
Coach Sakava. Good episode. All right.
Awesome.
And we're gonna end the episode here, Joe, but we're gonna stay on for a minute. Okay. So I'm gonna end the recording.
Okay.
And we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
All right.